couple weeks since Quentin's been gone, how have those two guys been faring so far in the middle?
I think they've done a nice job. I mean, obviously, their learning hadn't changed. They've been taking reps, and they were backing him up, and they were spotting him, and when he needed a break in the game. So nothing's changed in terms of what they need to know. Obviously, they've been pressed into duty, and I think they've done a nice job.
Wendell Davis was a guy that I think back in training camp you guys said you really liked. What did you see from him since then that made you guys want to give him some kind of opportunity last week?
Well, I just think he's a good football player, and he's progressing nicely, and he's a guy that's a fast learner, and what a chance now with 4 games being able to play these guys and get them experience and let them run around on the field, and he ended up making a tackle on special teams. So he's just a really good football player that's got good instincts and picks stuff up fast, and you don't think that you're going to hurt him putting him out there, right? Hurt his mental growth or anything like that. He's a good football player.
As a whole, how do you think your guys have progressed through the season?
I think as a linebacker unit, I think we're getting better and better. I don't think we played our best football yet. I think we can be faster. I think we can fit faster. I think we can tackle better. But in terms of hitting your peak when it matters, you like to play your best football in November, and I think we're on our road to that. But again, each Saturday you're measured by that, and the last 9 weeks really mean nothing. It's about the 10th week and how we're going to play.
Quentin's been hanging around. I saw him out there on the field today. What kind of contributions is he making, maybe in meetings and things like that?
Well, I mean, he just brings so much. I mean, he's got so much experience, and with those guys on the sideline or in their guys in meetings, if they've got a small question while I may be teaching something else, he can be a second teacher in there. So, just a guy for them to rely on and one of their own peers. It's always different when it's your peer and it's not just your coach. Not that those guys should be afraid to ask me or anybody anything, but it's just the nature of coach and player relationship, and what an amazing peer to have with a guy with a ton of experience.
How's he handling his situation? Has he gotten over the initial shock?
I think he has. Obviously I don't want to speak for him, but he's had a great attitude, and his spirits have been up, and I think he's just focused on getting better for himself and getting healthy, and again doing whatever he can to help the team.
It's senior day for Sean and Elijah, and they're two guys that they didn't even start at linebacker. So how much have they grown in the position over the years, and what do they kind of bring to this team?
Well, it's athleticism, it's knowledge. Again, they're older guys that have now played with me for going on 3 years, and they may not have started at linebacker. They're going to finish at linebacker, and again, just great personalities, great kids, great young men, I should say, and they progressed from where they came from. Sean's really on his 3rd position, and I think they progressed nicely. Again, we have not hit our peak as of yet, so you'd love to, on senior day, why not get it started and let them hit their full force.
How do those two lead?
Well, I think Sean's a little bit more vocal, and Zeiss is a little bit more by being out there and doing it. But I think they have a good experience and a presence about them that they command for the young guys, and they've got a lot of knowledge. They coach each other up on the sideline. They're coaching the young guys up behind them. So in different ways, but again, they get the job done.
What was the key to being able to stop the run against Virginia, and how do you kind of bottle that and move it forward?
Yeah, I mean it's nothing different. It's seeing your read and trusting it and going. I think for every player at every position, but especially linebacker, they got to see it, trust it, squeeze the trigger, and go. Just go. We talk about eating all the time. Going to eat, and again, if you miss aggressively, someone else is going to be there to clean it up. So I think that is where, if we hit our peak as linebackers, that'll be the reason why. Because we trust it and we just go. Now, easier said than done with what offenses are doing, motions and shifts. So it's not like they're doing anything wrong, right? The offense is designed to confuse and do those things. So, again, if we can just put all that nonsense aside and just do our jobs and have laser focus, I think we could have a great Week 10 game.
Are they able to trust more readily now because they've been seeing it for so long, all these years?
I think that's part of it, but again, I mean, it's like every game's different. Teams are going to attack you different, and not that blocks change, but plays change, and guys are trying to take advantage of what they think you might be reading, and so we just, no doubt, they should have a lot of experience doing it, and now, the trust has just got to be, hey, listen, I'm not the only one on the field. There's 10 other guys. I can squeeze the trigger, and if I miss aggressively, someone else will help.
Well, it's not your position group. Have you, watching film, noticed an uptick in play from the defensive line as well, and is that maybe making it easier a little bit on your guys to find those gaps, where they need to be?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, on both sides of the ball, right? Up in the trenches is where it's going to be won, and I think for our defense as a whole, I think we're learning how to play together each week. you know, and we're becoming a more of a unit. And each guy is again, I think, taking a little bit more focus in what they're doing based on experience, based on reps, based on seeing other things in other games and being able to put the puzzle together and say, oh, I saw that at Notre Dame. Oh, I saw that at UCF. Oh, I saw that. So I think at all positions that's going on. And we're just hoping Week 10 is the game that we put together, all 11.
Willis is obviously not, you know, kind of heralded as Jackson was, but you look at some of the stats, he's been pretty efficient. What stands out as far as his play?
I think he's a competitor. You know, I mean, I don't know if we faced a bad quarterback yet this season. I mean, he's a competitor. He's going to fight tooth and nail. He can run it. You know, he had a long touchdown run against North Carolina. Throws the ball really well. Can fit it in there and does, you know, what they ask of him really well. And I think they've always had those type of guys there, and which is why this game has always been a battle, because everybody they've had under center does what they do really well.